And
This is an NBC News Special Report. Here's Lester Holt.
We're coming out to tell you what we know about an apparent attack at Istanbul Airport, Ataturk Airport in Turkey. 2 explosions, some attributed apparently, according to witnesses, suicide bomber or bombers. Also reports of gunshots. There is a lot of video coming out of people standing in the driveways outside the international arrivals area of the airport. There are reported to be a number of people injured. We don't have a specific number, no confirmation of any deaths right now. But again, this occurring in Istanbul. It's a major international air hub for Turkish Airlines. The attack happening late in the evening there. No claims of responsibility or motive other than a report from a government official that it may have been suicide bombers. Another airport worker telling an NBC producer the same, that it was a suicide bomber. We have seen pictures of people who were crouched in stores, in the terminal itself for cover, trying to wait out whatever was happening. We're going to go right now to NBC's Tom Costello, who's been monitoring much of the information coming in. Tom, what do you have right now?
Lester, this is, as we've said, breaking, and the events are coming in just literally second by second. But state-run television there in Turkey is reporting that this explosion hit a control point at the international arrival terminal at the airport. So that is at an international point where you would expect people coming and going. And this is, by the way, the time of the day when people would be starting to arrive at the airport for their outbound international flights headed for the United States, for example, for Canada. This would be mostly those types of departures out of the international terminal. We're also told that, we are reminded rather, that Turkey has a lot going on right now. It's on the front lines of Syria, and of course the conflict in Syria involving the fight between various rebel groups and the government of Bashar Assad, as well as ISIS in Syria. It also is has an ongoing conflict with the Kurds in that region. And then to complicate matters, it just this week, in fact, resettled negotiations and diplomatic relations with Israel. So there's an awful lot happening in Turkey. Also, just in the last few months, several bombings in Istanbul targeting areas where tourists gather, and they have been blamed on Islamic State, on ISIS. So there's an awful lot of factions at play in Istanbul, but whatever's happened at the airport this evening, it looks like it was 1 or 2 suicide bombers attacking an international point, a control point. We're also told the police may have opened fire on 1 or more suspects, and it would appear that there are injuries, but we don't have a firm count on any of that. Lester? And
I have traveled to this airport 2 or 3 times. A very modern airport. Again, a very large international air hub. A lot of people connecting east-west through that airport, Ataturk Airport. Ataturk Airport, I'm sorry, in Istanbul. Again, this happening late at night. You're seeing the video, much of it as we've been bringing it in, that have been shot by people on their cell phones, showing a lot of confusion, a lot of ambulances. There are reports of a large number of people taken to hospitals. The pictures we saw, some of the early pictures reminiscent of what we saw in Brussels. People crouched down where they were, where they could take shelter. Here's some of that video right now, trying to figure out where the threat is coming from, what is happening, waiting for some kind of instruction there at a busy time at that airport, as Tom noted, people trying to make their connections to various parts of the world. As Tom also mentioned, Turkey, of course, as geopolitically stands under a number of threats, both internal and external threats. We've heard no claim of responsibility. And again, the only characterizations we've had of the attack is possible suicide bomber. And there's a police officer, someone that seems to have blood stain on the front of his shirt as we see him walking away. Tom, you're continuing to watch information coming in. What else do you have?
Well, it is, of course, reminiscent of Brussels, which, of course, occurred just a few months ago, in which 2 or 3 attackers attacked the Brussels airport, at least one of them getting away. There was also the attack on the subway system in Brussels, and so that is going to be a prime concern right now. Might there be another attack or attacks in the offing in the region? Might they involve other targets? You can imagine security forces are right now very concerned about that possibility. You know, Turkey is an unusual country in that it is not firmly in Europe necessarily and not firmly in Asia or the Middle East. It is that bridge between the two, and it is not a member of the European Union.
Tom, let me cut you off here. We've got Richard Engel, who is in Istanbul right now on the phone. Richard, what can you tell us?
We spoke to a witness, someone who we know who works at the airport, and he was with a passenger, he's a porter, and that he heard the first explosion. He said it happened outside of the international departure and arrivals hall. He heard that first explosion. He saw people start running. He was running with them. Then he looked over. He saw a police officer diving to tackle a second bomber. Then that second bomber blew himself up. This witness believes that a police officer was killed. Then much more panic, more running, and a short time after that, a third explosion. All of them outside, and this is, as you were just talking about, an incredibly busy airport. It is the main hub for Istanbul, and in many ways, it is the main hub for this entire region.
Are you hearing anything in terms of numbers or types of casualties, Richard?
Nothing concrete. We've been told many wounded. We have that one witness account of a police officer, 3 other suicide bombers. The fact that it was outside is critical. At Istanbul, there's double layer of security. You check your bags before you get into the airport, and then check your bags again once you go through immigration. The fact that it was outside would have meant that potentially the crowds weren't as dense or wouldn't have been as contained as they would have been at a check-in counter. But at this stage, we don't have a number.
All right, and we can report via Reuters, quoting the Turkish Justice Minister, reporting 10 dead now in this attack. That's the first number we have had, first indication that anyone has been killed in this attack. We have been told a number of people injured. Richard, you not only report from Istanbul, that you spend much of your time living there. Tell us about the sense of threat you have seen there over the last year.
Well, I hate to say it, this is not terribly unexpected. This is the third high-profile attack in recent months in what you could describe as obvious targets. There was an attack in the Old City. There was an attack on the busiest shopping street, and now an attack at the airport. I had received reports that 30 plus potential ISIS attackers had come from Syria and entered Turkey to carry out attacks during Ramadan. This was, if you remember, Lester, the CIA gave an assessment that ISIS was still internationally capable despite all of the airstrikes against it. That same day, I received this information that not only were they capable, but that they were deploying their assets throughout the region, particularly in Turkey. We don't know if this is ISIS yet, as far as I'm aware, unless you've heard something while I'm on the line with you. There hasn't been a claim of responsibility, but a triple suicide bombing at a high-profile target in Istanbul very much sounds like ISIS at this stage.
And this would be atypical of some of the Kurdish-related attacks that we've seen.
This would be atypical of the Kurdish-related attacks. There is that second war, the war that has been going on for decades, but which has recently been renewed between Kurdish separatists and the Turkish government. They have carried out attacks. They have carried out some attacks that have targeted civilians, but generally their attacks have been on soldiers and police, and most of them in southeastern Turkey.
Richard, stay with me. Let me just update anyone who may just be tuning in. We're looking at video coming in within the last few minutes from the main airport in Istanbul, Turkey. And there you see a police officer, a blood-stained shirt, walking away. According to Richard Engel, from witnesses that NBC News has spoken to, there have been 3 explosions, apparently from suicide bombers. The second one apparently involving when a police officer tackled one of the attackers, who then detonated himself. The Justice Minister, according to Reuters, reporting 10 dead right now. That's the first indication we've had confirmation of deaths. There have been a number of people injured, no numbers there. You can see some of them being taken away. We've seen video of people being treated there along the driveway. This occurred at the International Arrivals and Departure Terminal at Istanbul Airport. It is a major international air hub, a busy time of night as people make their east-west connections from there. We've been reporting geopolitically Turkey stands in a very troubled part of the world right now with numerous threats, both external and internal right now. There has been no claim of responsibility, we should point out, as Richard told us a moment ago from his experience. This has hallmarks that might suggest ISIS, but again, there has been no reporting right now on the where exactly this threat and this attack came from. We continue to work this story. We'll break in as events warrant to update you, and of course, we'll have full coverage of the NBC Nightly News. For now, I'm Lester Holt, NBC News, New York.